Hey, amazing ladies. Are you ready to level up your life in 2025? I am truly excited to announce my new mastermind, Live, Love, and Thrive. An opportunity for you to not only level up your life or business, start a new business or passion project, and connect to amazing women who will support you and encourage you to live the life of your dreams. Meet other incredible female entrepreneurs and business owners, gain insight on new opportunities to grow your business, connect and network, and grow beyond anything you thought was possible. If you are truly ready to make 2025 the best year of your life, it's time to live, love, and thrive together. Reach out to me on social media or my website at jenmentasana.com to explore this very special, exclusive, and carefully curated mastermind opportunity. Welcome to Where Passion Meets Purpose. I'm your host, Jen Mentasana. On this show, we help busy moms and entrepreneurs find more passion and purpose in their daily lives through inspiring stories and interviews. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Where Passion Meets Purpose. I'm so excited you are here on the show today and joining us. We have an amazing guest on the show today. Chelsea Husum is here to talk to us all about entrepreneurship and being an entrepreneur hot mom mess, she calls it, writing her book and stepping into the life and purpose that she was meant to live and telling her story through her journey. So Chelsea, I'm so excited to have you here. I've been wanting to do this with you for a long time. I mean, I think we met a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I've just had you in the back of my mind as someone that would really resonate with our listeners, and they could really feel like where you are and where you were is some place that they can see themselves. And so I just couldn't wait to get you on the show. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm so excited, Jen. Thank you so much. Yes, we met and yes, instantly connected. And like we said, we wish we had a little more time in our mastermind, but yeah, it's so good to be here. And I really thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I wanted to dive right in and share with our listeners a little bit about kind of where you were on your journey. I think it was you and your husband started a construction company, or was it just you?
I'm majority owner. He doesn't, I run the company and I own and operate it, but he's just a silent owner.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So women in construction, not, a typical thing.
Yep.
And so how did you get into that in the first place?
Yeah, definitely was not my plan. I'm going to be honest there. I outside of college started in trade shows and marketing really through being a receptionist there. I needed my first job and the loans were coming due and I was like, "Oh my God, I need a job." So then I worked for a experiential marketing trade show company about 5-6 years. And then I just was like, I didn't feel like I was doing anything really worthwhile with my life, like making a difference. And so I knew I wanted to change, but I just started doing some soul searching, like, well, what would that even look like? So I have a Spanish degree and a broadcast journalism degree. I was like, well, maybe I could use my Spanish degree. Maybe I should be a teacher. And decided to do that. But I got my master's in education first, just because, yes, I could speak Spanish, but I had no clue about education and probably would have gotten eaten alive, honestly. So I quit that job, got my master's, ended up teaching middle and high school Spanish for about 10 years. And then one day at the last year of teaching it was really rough. A kid called me an effing waste of space. I was like, okay,
Wow.
tell me how you really feel. It was just, I had always gotten along with kids and I was just like, what is happening? And I knew it was September of that year. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to change. But I had no clue. I was like, I'm starting over. I have literally no clue what I'm going to do. I applied for random jobs like executive assistant and just whatever sounded cool. Got 0 calls whatsoever. It was like I had been pigeonholed somehow. And it was really discouraging. And so I was pretty much desperate for another job. And the only job I literally got offered was as an office manager for a different construction company. So I took it just out of pure desperation. And so that got me into commercial construction. I hardly got trained. I just got thrown in. I learned the hard way. I cried a ton. It was really horrible. Finally, figure out what I'm doing. And then in March of 2020, I actually started my company. my construction company. And I worked both jobs until April of 22, actually. Um,
Wow.
just because I, was trying to get this one up and going and I still needed a salary. And so, yeah, then I finally in April of 22 stepped in and it was like, nope, I'm all in. Let's
Yeah.
do this.
So what was it about? Because you talk about how when you first got into this, industry, that it
Uh-huh.
was really hard and you were crying every day and
Hmm.
it just didn't feel like you were in a good place. But then you
Yeah.
went from that to actually owning your own construction
Yeah.
company. So what was it about that made you decide to do that?
Well, there's a lot of really weird specific things in construction, like certified payroll, pay applications, all these, like if you're on a government job or you're on a city job, like there's all these weird, really intense things that you have to do. So it's, finally getting to know that stuff. I Once I learned it, it's like, okay, I got this, but like not having training was pretty rough. So, and with the other company, it really wasn't run very well. And so I was just cleaning up messes all the time. Like I had to go back 5 years into the books and like try to clean that up. I mean, I'm sorry, that's horrific. It was really, really bad. And, and I'm a really organized person. So it, my soul every day was waking up just waiting for this mess to come and this chaos. And it's like, look, I could actually be the boss and step into it and run things clean and organized in my way. And, and honestly, by doing that, it's so much easier to step into yourself instead of cleaning up somebody's mess.
Absolutely. And I love how you say that, because what you learned was what your gifts and talents and strengths were out of
Yeah.
these challenges. Like, hey, I can overcome this and I can actually do it better.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so, whether or not it was construction or another career or another
Yep.
industry, it was about you finding a piece of that you were really good at and letting
Yeah.
that fuel you.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. So then you're running your company and it's 2022 and you're moving along, and what happens?
We grew very quickly. We over doubled every year. Really got in. People really embraced us in the Denver and Colorado community. We now work with many very, very large companies to very small. I love like everybody, but they all deal with me. So they get to know me well and I get to know them well. And honestly, they're amazing people. And I'm very grateful that they've taken a chance on a small company when most people just use big companies. That's who people have always used, right? And so it's like to kind of make it a name for yourself. I'm very grateful that for the clients and my employees that have allowed us to do that. So yeah, we've just been trucking along. It's been really great, and now it's like I could do this in my sleep. I know it so well right
Yeah.
now 5 years in. So it's
Right.
it's been a
And
crazy
that's the
ride.
amazing part about entrepreneurship, right? Is like
Hmm.
when you've got it and you understand what you're doing and you know what you can offer in the marketplace that's unique
Yes.
to everybody else. And I'm sure for someone like you with a small company, there are so many benefits to working with you. First of all, there's building relationship. You have more
Yeah.
time, because it's you diving in. It's not like you're the owner sitting back, not connecting with anyone and
Yes.
having these managers doing all the connecting, right?
Yeah.
So you're building relationships, you're honing your skills as an entrepreneur, and you're doing all the things that were really filling you up, whether,
Yep.
again, like whether it was construction or anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about relationships, honestly. And I was just telling someone the other day. So I'm from a small town in South Dakota. There are two gentlemen that work for very large electrical companies out here from South Dakota. One of them weirdly knows my cousin. He like grew up with her. And so there's that. And then the one grew up like a half hour away from me. And we just talked forever. And we're like, oh my gosh, and it just like, I like to know about people's kids. Where'd you go on vacation? That's how I do business. It's not like, hey, give me business. It's like we do business together because we literally like each other, and
Right.
they know if they need something or something happens, they can call me and I'm going to handle it and I'm going to take care of it. And I'm not, I'm a genuine, and like what you see is what you get.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things that I was drawn to about you from the get-go, is that you're a very authentic person, and you're
Thank you.
approachable, and you are someone that people trust right away. I think
Thank
that's
you.
an innate quality that you have. So I have to ask, you're trucking along in your business. You're now 5 years in.
Hmm.
Everything's going well. What's the catalyst to, and I don't know what came first, because I
Mm.
know you joined this mastermind
Yep.
and then you were in the middle of writing a book, but what was the shift in you that decided, I need to write a book, I need to tell my story, I need to step into this version of myself beyond
Yeah.
just mompreneur?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I never wanted to write a book, number one. And I honestly never thought I had a quote story. I'll
Mm-hmm.
just say that. I never thought I had like stories to share with the world that would offer value or inspiration. But I truly, truly to my soul believe that now, finally. And what really kind of, I'll dive into a few different, like pretty traumatic things that really got me to understand this. So, the end, gosh, it was the end of 23 now. Wait, 24. I don't know what year. Okay, the
Yeah,
end of
24 we just
23.
finished, so probably
I'm like,
23.
what year is it? My
I
God.
know. Totally.
The very end of 23, like 2 days before the end of 23, I ended a 2.5 year lawsuit that I was in. And it was absolutely the most horrific thing I've ever endured in my life. It was just horrific and horrible and heavy, and just like I've never known deep, crushing sadness and depression like that. And to wake up to be a mom and a wife and a business owner during that time was really difficult. I mean, I had to be so gentle on myself. I was waking up covered in hives. My kids were like, "Mommy, when are we losing our home?" I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. And finally got done with that. But, when I was in that and I was just enduring that trauma, I was also from 20 years ago, trauma was coming up when but that I had never dealt with. But
Mm-hmm.
this more recent thing had that all bubbling up inside of me. And so 20 years ago, I was studying Spanish in Ecuador. I had been there the year before with a university group. And then I went back by myself the following year for like 3 months. And I had been one night, I was drugged and raped and left alone in an abandoned building or house by my Spanish professor there. And I remember like waking up on this dirty mattress on the floor, and there's no other furniture, no one's there. I'm just like, oh my God, what happened? Little flashbacks from the night before, but I was kept blacking out because I was so sick. And that was something so long ago that I never dealt with. Like back then in my 20s, I didn't know myself. It was so traumatic that I just shoved it down, locked it, threw away the key, right? And so it took me then to be going through this lawsuit to have those same feelings of being violated and attacked by another man in two totally different situations, to be like, enough of this. Like, I am so freaking done. And I couldn't wait to tell my story. And there's stories in my book. I wrote about those, but I wrote about a bunch of other things like motherhood, how I absolutely adore it, but it is insane. Like motherhood is absolutely freaking crazy. Like you just like 2 days before Christmas this year, my children shaved off my 8-year-old's eyebrows and is part of his hair. I mean, like,
And you have
you
boys,
can't
right?
make this up. Yes, I
Yeah.
have boys and they're
You have boys.
crazy and
I
I
have
love
boys too. I
them.
can relate. Yes.
God, you just can't make this stuff up with these boys, right? And it's
No.
like, I just, like, I want women to quit trying to be perfect. Like, we all go through crazy stuff. How about we share those stories and say, I'm struggling right now. Or, you know what, I'm really good. What can I help you with? And like, actually find your real connection and tribe. That's where you step into your story and thrive and really you like acknowledge the good, the bad, the ugly parts of you that you kept hidden. And that's how you're going to go out in the world and really thrive.
That is so amazing, Chelsea. And I think
Thank you.
we need to point out how you push down that trauma from all those years
Mm-hmm.
ago. And that's what many women
Oh,
do
yes.
and did.
Mm-hmm.
And because when you're in it, first and foremost, it's too painful to
You
process.
don't know what else to do.
You don't know what else to do, and you're trying to just function. And didn't
Yeah.
you say in your story after that happened that you actually got up the next morning and went to class?
Yeah. I took a taxi and went to school and saw him there. And
Yeah.
I never said anything to like my parents, no friends, no one at the school. Like, I don't know. I didn't know what else to do. I could have been killed. I mean, in a foreign country by myself, like, hello, it could have been so bad, so much worse
Exactly.
than it even was.
And
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking about all of the maybe thousands, if not more, women who
Mhm.
have gone through something similar,
Oh,
who
yes.
were
It's so
too
sad.
afraid to speak up, too
Mhm.
afraid to admit to themselves what had just happened, much less
Yeah.
tell someone else.
Yes.
And then the process that you spend over time burying that deep within you to
Mhm.
cover up the wounds and to
Yeah.
keep going in life and to keep operating and functioning and moving forward and not really dealing and processing. I think that is
Yeah.
such an important point to make to so many women. I mean, most of the women who are listening right now are moms who, or, entrepreneurs or women who have been
Yep.
through something either similar or have gone through something horrific in their lives that
Yep.
they've buried and they have never dealt with it. And if you don't deal with it, it keeps haunting you in different ways
Yes.
and it starts to come back up and then it bubbles over and then you have
Mhm.
no choice but to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so I think as much as that lawsuit that you went through was horrific and you would never want to have anyone go through that again, it
Yeah.
actually forced you to look at the trauma that you had been through
It
20
did.
years before.
It did, and it was like what I learned about myself through that, and like with my husband going, like having to deal with that as a wife and a husband, unit, whatever, as your family. It was so eye-opening, and it's like, if I can make it through that, I can make it through anything. And I remember I wrote that chapter is called Hell because I didn't know what else to, and it's, I think, the longest one in the book. I didn't know what else to call it because that's all I could explain it as. And I actually, it wasn't over. The lawsuit wasn't over. And my whole book was done, just waiting to be published. And I said, I will not publish it until this is over and I can write the final like thing. And
Put it to
so I
bed.
kept, yep, I kept writing little blurbs, almost like a journal of like when I just get really riled up, I'd write more about today. And then it's kind of like blotchy all over the place, but I literally needed that to be in there. So people, cause I'm like, most people didn't even know I was going through it. Most people
Yeah.
had no clue. And I just sucked it up and went through, but I'm like, no, I have a story to say. And I did. So what I was saying is, in that chapter, I said, okay, it's done. I get my quote unquote old life back. The heaviness is lifted finally. But I said, I will go into this next year, which was 2024, ready to freaking run and kick some butt. And because I'm riled up, I was like, don't you ever think that you can break me. Like, I'm going. And honestly, 2024, finally, I stepped into my true self. I did so much in 2024, and not because I'm trying to like say, oh, screw you. I'm like, no, you can't hold me back anymore. Like, I'm ready to go.
I'm
So
ready
I
to
was
go.
kind of
I'm
like, I
ready
got
to
a
really,
fire
now I
in my
have my
belly.
power and I've
Yes.
addressed all of these things that were
Mhm.
holding me back from
Yes.
living my true authentic self.
Yep.
And
And I'm
now
done.
and I witnessed it, Chelsea. I got to watch you be up on the stage, telling your story, empowering
Mhm.
everyone, publish a book, launch a podcast, become the version of yourself that was
Mhm.
always there and meant to
Yeah.
be, but you needed to go through these things to bring that out
I
in you
did. I had
as an
to go
adult.
through it all. I
Yeah.
had to go through every single thing. I wouldn't change anything because I am the person I am today because of it all. How I handled it or didn't handle it.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I learned really who I was in the process of all of that.
Which is the most amazing part, right? They say you write a book to learn about yourself, you read a book to learn about others or something else, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
you
It's
write the
very
books.
therapeutic. I cried a lot writing different stories. And it is. It's like you're putting your heart and soul out in the world. It's so vulnerable, but it is really healing. It
Yeah.
really
Will you
is.
hold up your book for us so we can
Oh, yeah.
show the audience the cover because it's so fabulous. I
Oh,
think all the
thank you.
moms will relate to this. And it's called Real Vibes Only. She has good vibes only and then crosses out good and
Oh,
puts
yeah.
real, which I love. And then
Yeah.
what's the tagline again?
Unapologetic confessions of a hot mess mompreneur.
Yeah. So how many times have we all as moms called ourselves a hot mess, right? It's like
Yes.
getting the kids out the door, trying to get to work
Oh,
on time, going to the PTA meeting,
yes.
whatever, all the things, keeping, groceries in the refrigerator,
Oh yeah.
all that stuff on top of doing all the amazing things that you are doing out in the world, which is just incredible. So, if you had to pinpoint one thing that you could tell our listeners, what if they're feeling stuck, or if
Mm-hmm.
they're feeling in a place like they're not sure how to move forward, maybe they've gone through a traumatic experience and
Mm-hmm.
they don't know, where their path is, how to get through it, whatever, what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, a few things. I would say first look at what are you passionate about? And for me, this is like I said, I didn't plan on doing this. I really have followed where life has taken me, and when I feel in my soul that I don't love whatever I'm doing anymore, I look to the next thing. And I really try to dig in deep and think of like what lights me up? What are different options? What are people that I admire doing? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um so I would say that look to people that when you look at them, you're like, yeah, I feel like she's doing what I want to do.
Hmm.
Go become their friend, learn from them, right?
Hmm.
Put yourself around these really amazing people. That alone will change your life.
It's
And
great
then I
advice.
think,
Yeah.
we all get in little funks, of course, right? With me, it's like I really I know myself so well now that I look at my habits, I look at how am I actually feeling? Am I feeling like crap, or like what's draining my energy? I need to get rid of that stuff. I just don't have time to be hungover or feel like crap or waste my time at all these stupid meetings or whatever I don't need to be at, or
Right.
I just really I have boundaries with my time, and I always have people like, for example, I used to never say no. I would say yes to anyone who asked whatever for my time. But like now I have a bunch of insurance and bank people asking me to have coffee so they can see how they can support me, which is very kind and wonderful.
Hmm.
Ultimately, let's be honest, they want my business. Okay.
Right.
But
And you're so intuitive now, and you know yourself so well that you know the purpose behind that.
yes. And
So
of
it's like you
course,
know how
like,
to check in.
yeah, good for them, but like
Yeah.
it's a waste of my time. And I kindly say no. And I am really busy. So I don't go to those anymore. Back when I started the company, I did. Now
Hmm.
it's a waste of my time. I know what my time is worth, and I don't do all that stuff, or I can't go to like 4 night meetings a week. I don't want to. I don't even usually go to one because,
Yeah.
ew. I mean, I'm exhausted. And then like I take my kids to and from school usually, but then I'm coordinating with my husband or it's just, it makes it more stressful for me. And I've kind of become like a 95-year-old boring woman. I'm so boring right now, but I freaking love it. I go to bed at
Yeah.
9. I get up at 5:30. I go to the gym. I'm taking care of myself. I'm trying to literally do less, even though I probably am technically doing more than I've ever done, but I'm doing stuff that lights up my soul and gives
Yes.
and energizes me, I'm not just going to random stuff.
And things that drain you. And I think that's
Yes.
the biggest thing. And I know you're like this too, but like it's checking in with your values of what's most important and
Yes.
saying, okay, for work, what are the top 5 things that I want to spend my time doing? And
Yes.
making sure that you're time blocking on your calendar every day, time for all of those things, because those are
Mhm.
the things that are going to fuel you, energize you, give
Mhm.
you purpose in what you're trying to accomplish. And then
Yes.
there's the values of family and community and all the other things. And there's not a lot of time for anything else.
There really
So,
isn't when you're a
yeah,
mom, business owner, and have kids. Like there really isn't. But the few friends maybe you do hang out with have to be really good friends.
yeah.
I don't just hang out with random people that I don't like. I just don't. I
Right.
don't have time
Well,
for
and I
that.
think that you get to a certain place in life where you realize that the relationships that you have need to be not only fuel you, but they need to be, when I say 50-50, I don't mean it needs to be a win-win. It needs to be this
Yes.
energetic
Yes.
connection that fuels you and fuels them, and you
Yep.
continue to elevate each other. Because if
Yes.
one person's constantly needing, and you're
Mhm.
just kind of there to be there for them, but you're not getting anything out of it,
Yeah.
as much as you'd love to help someone, it doesn't benefit anyone
No,
by
and it
you
brings you
doing that.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
you're
brings
like,
you down, and it's actually enabling the other person to not figure out how to find their own joy through their
exactly.
own gifts and talents instead of trying to pull from yours, right?
Yep.
So it's a very complicated thing. I'm thinking this is a topic for a show altogether.
Yeah,
It's just,
probably.
energy and how we
Mm-hmm.
resonate with certain people and why and all of those things. So
Yes.
super, super fascinating stuff. And it's such good advice, Chelsea. I think
Thank you.
for so many women out there, they just want to believe that they have a purpose in life, to make a difference, to be able to raise
Yep.
their kids, be happy, make enough money so they can take their families on a vacation once in a while
Yep.
and really do what lights them up. And I think it's such a testament to you making those choices for yourself and your family to move forward in that way and kind of hold space for others in your life to do the same thing.
Well, thank you. And if I want to kind of touch on something else that I just thought of that I've been talking about a lot lately with different women, and I know it resonates, is, when you're a mom and, kids are like in sports or activities, it's absolutely psychotic. Like it just is. But I hear, I hear a lot of people like complaining about like, we're gone all weekend, we're at tournaments, and how expensive it is and this and that. And do the kids ever play? Do the kids get 9 hours of sleep? Do you ever just like hang out and like have some downtime and rest? And not a lot of people do anymore, but ultimately we are in charge of our life. So if
Yes.
I will not feel like I'm on a runaway train at the end of my life and be like, well, I just kind of did what I had to do, what everybody else is doing. No, ultimately, if you guys love that, I have a girlfriend, her daughter's in cheer, and she's like, I gotta, I'm gonna disagree with, I love your book, but I'm gonna disagree with you there. This is what I think my kids learn from it, and we love it. Great. Yes,
Mhm.
go do it. But I want to give people permission if it is too much and you're just doing all this stuff because that's what everybody else is doing, you actually don't need to do that. You can pull back. You can don't do a travel baseball team, do a rec league that's in this, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, why do we feel this pressure because everyone else is just being crazy about it all,
A hundred
that we
percent.
must do it? Like, you don't have to do that. And if it's not aligning with your life and your soul and your family is all miserable, then you gotta look at your life and
A
take
hundred
a little
percent. And I
ownership of
think
it.
this goes back to what we were saying about values. Again,
Yeah.
if you're not checking in with your values, if your values are your kids are athletes and you are a family that's all about this is your joy, is
Yes.
going to watch them play sports, and
Yes.
this is everything you want to do, and you guys are going for that scholarship, and it's all the
Yep.
things. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But if you're doing it just because this is like the purpose and the why behind it is not
Yeah.
in line with who you are
Yeah.
and your family's values, then that's the time where you need to check in. And a lot of people just don't
Exactly.
check in. I mean, they're just on the
Yeah.
hamster wheel, right?
I
And I
know,
think
and it's
there's nothing to
sad.
be said like right or wrong for that. And this is a discussion, believe me, I'm
That's
right in the thick of it
society.
like you. I mean, I have 13 and 15-year-old boys. We've
Yeah.
been through the little league years. We've been through
Yep.
the soccer years. We've been through football,
Yep.
all the
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. It's a lot.
It's a lot. The club teams, now we're in high school and the
Yep.
baseball is nonstop and the football is nonstop.
Yep.
And it's amazing. And as long as my son loves it,
Yes.
and he wants to do this, I'm like, all good. And I enjoy going to watch him, but I don't get caught up in, I have to be at every game and making sure I
Yep.
do every little thing because this is his joy,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
I can't fill my cup and be at everything for both my kids
Yep.
and be a breadwinner, a provider. You have to pick and choose. And
You
sometimes it's
do.
hard. And for some people, their whole lives are poured into their kids. And that's great. And
Yes.
my life and my heart is poured into my kids. I guide them every day. I
Mhm.
eat meals with them. I talk to them about their lives, what they're passionate about,
Yes.
the things that they care about. And I come to as many games as I can. But sometimes I'm out of town at a conference. And you know what? Right there,
Exactly.
I need to do that. And guess what? When I get home, they say, Mom, how was it? What did you learn? And they are
Yep.
so inspired by what I'm doing that I'm teaching them something more valuable than anything in the
Oh,
world.
totally. Totally.
Right?
Like, you're showing them by us doing what lights us up and what we're passionate about, we're giving them permission to be dreamers, and we're making them proud of us and saying, yes, I'm first a woman and I love being your mom, but I'm not just a mom and I'm like completely losing myself. And then I'm only a mom and I don't know who I am as a person anymore.
Right.
Like, I truly think you have to have a balance.
I
Because
do
someday your
too. And
kids are
I
going to
think
leave and you'll be like, who am
especially
I?
100%. So part
Mhm.
of that for me, and people on the show that are listening have heard my story before, but waking up at 52 years old and realizing I only have so many years left to really go all out.
Yeah.
And is this my legacy? Right. And
Yes.
yes, I'm an amazing mom. And yes, I'm so proud to be a mom. And I'm so
Mhm.
proud of the
Mhm.
life we've built. And I'm so proud of my restaurant business. But have I given everything out of the tank?
Yeah.
Do I have
There's
anything
so much
left?
more potential out
Right.
there. Yeah.
Right. And if that's how you're feeling, then you're not alone. And if you're not
Mhm.
feeling that way and you're so fulfilled and you're like, I was the greatest
Amazing.
mom ever. I got my kids off to college. I've done my job and I
Yes.
feel like, woohoo, I'm good. Great. As
Yes.
long as you're
But you
content with
have
who
to
you are.
feel fulfilled in
Right.
your life.
You have to feel fulfilled because the next 15 to 20 years of your life without your kids needing you every waking
Mhm.
moment are going to be very lonely and unfulfilled
Yes.
if you haven't found that purpose for yourself.
Yes, I
So
totally agree.
that's my big thing right now as well. So I'm glad you brought that up. We kind of went off on a tangent on that, but I think a lot of women who are listening to the show can relate to that. And maybe
Yeah.
some of them who are feeling like, yeah, I'm not sure, I'm getting close to, that empty nest line and it's
Mhm.
scary and I don't know what it looks like out there.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
Yep.
It's never too late.
Love that.
Well, Chelsea, you are amazing. I
Oh, thank
I
you.
cannot wait to hear all that you're gonna be working on in the next few years. I know your story is just beginning. Um, you have a podcast called, what is it called? Lipstick and Lashes?
Lip service and lashes.
Lip
Yes.
Service and Lashes. Follow Chelsea on all of her socials. Why don't you tell us what your socials are, and then I'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah, so my website is chelseahusum.com. And then Instagram's probably where I'm at most. It's just Chelsea Husum, just my name.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then, guys, if you are curious about stepping out of, entrepreneurship and doing something more with your life, follow Chelsea. She's so inspiring. She's always got amazing tips and ideas in her social media and all the things that she's doing with her family. And she's just such an inspiration to us all. So thank you,
Thank
Chelsea,
you.
so much for being here. I can't wait to continue our conversation soon.
Oh, thank you so much. And if anyone listening has questions or wants, I love chatting with people about, hey, this resonated or a question or whatever. So please reach out to me. I'd love to chat. I appreciate this so much, Jen. Thank you.
Of course. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Thank you again for listening to Where Passion Meets Purpose. If you're enjoying this show, please subscribe and download it so you don't miss an episode every single week. And if you think you have a friend who might benefit from listening, please share it with them as well. If you'd like to contact me, you can always reach me through email on my website at jenmentasana.com and my social media, Jen_Mentasana. And you can DM me there and I'll always respond and we can connect about topics on the show or anything else you'd like to discuss. Thanks again for tuning in.